the local rabbits proceeded to treat like a mini-mart. And no matter how many wired contraptions he configured to keep them out, Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail figured how to get in, and eventually moved their home to the pine tree right by my husband's garden. Now, at the time, our Labrador was still alive. Great, big, large, loud, yellow dog. That was oddly cool sharing his yard with small critters. In fact, he used to abuse us to watch him sleep on our deck and see squirrels walk right past his nose. Never woke up. The summer the broccoli was on the line, however, my husband was not amused and wanted the dog to act more like a dog. And to that end, whenever he saw a rabbit in the garden, he would shake the dog away, rile him up, open the back door, send him out barking and rampaging to the charge of, "Get the rabbit, boy!" It was a fantastic show of force. Except the dog had no idea why he was out there. And so would stop to scratch himself and the rabbits would slip under the fence. Well, since rabbits multiply like rabbits, by the time school let out in June, my young children felt that they had inherited several cuddly pets. And my son, who was 10 at the time, was particularly fascinated by them and would often come into the house to give me reports like, "Mom, if you go outside right now, the mama and the two babies are eating the parsley and you can see." One day he accidentally stepped on one of the babies. I guess the graceless gait of a 10-year-old boy swinging a baseball bat wasn't enough noise to scare it off. It shrieked and ran off, giving my son a guilty wreck, and he spent the rest of the day hanging out by the garden watching the den. And sure enough, the baby popped out, happy, healthy, and hungry for chops. And when he told this story to his father that night, my husband's face kind of lit up at the stepping on part, and promptly fell when he concluded with, "Don't worry, Dad, he's okay." The turning point of the bunny wars was the 4th of July. We had gone to my in-laws' house where they have a massive garden and a massive dog named Boomer. And while we were there, Boomer caught a rabbit in the garden. He snapped it up, shook it up, pranced around the yard with it, and dropped the body at my children's feet. My in-laws praised him. My husband looked at our dog and said, "This is what I'm talking about." Our children were mortified, especially my youngest, who decried this violence with the loud, "Why does Boomer have to ruin nature?" When my husband suggested the rabbit was ruining nature by eating her grandmother's garden, she put her hands on her hips and said, "So?" And that was the day our youngest child joined the enemy and met all her father's anti-bunny actions with her own puppy-lipped pro-bunny rhetoric. They mostly competed for the heart and mind of the dog. My husband would open the back door and say, "Get the rabbit, boy!" And my daughter would hang onto his collar and say, "No, be nice." The dog, of course, just wanted someone to throw him a ball. By the time August rolled around, these rabbits were so comfortable in our backyard, they were kind of hanging out in our front yard, too. Kind of claimed the porridge until one of us drove up in the driveway and they'd go off to the den. Well, one Sunday, we were all in the car. My husband pulls the car to the driveway, the rabbits are starting to walk off, and he revs the engine real loud. My youngest child calls for his mom. "Dad, don't do it!" Now, of course, my husband was not going to ram the front of our house with our car just to prove a point on his own property. But we could not convince my youngest daughter of this, and so my 6-foot husband had to apologize to my 4-foot daughter. The bunny wars ended quietly. You see, by the time the end of August came, my children started to refer to these critters as the Mullis rabbits. And the first time my husband heard this term, he digested the fact that his own children named these thieves with his last name. I could see the protest rising up in his face, but he just turned around, walked off. A silent surrender. I mean, what was he really going to do? He had a pacifist dog, a pack of protesting kids, a passel of veggie-eating mascots, and enough brains to realize he was outnumbered.